The community. So we're going to be planning on presenting this at the CEC meeting on, the first Wednesday. What Wednesday is that? Hold on, let me just get into my calendar. On March 1st. And then, hold on one second. Hold on one second. I think it's just full. I don't think it's an access piece. Oh, then, all right, then, Louis, is Louis there? Louis, can you try to log into that other meeting, see if it'll let you in?
Yep.
Okay, and then come right back. Okay, so anyway, so what we're gonna do as we present today, we're gonna ask for your feedback and to see if there's anything else we wanted to add. So we'll be presenting it at the CEC meeting, and then Francis, because it's fairly lengthy, if you approve, we were gonna do it next month at President's Council.
Next month at President's Council is our CC forum,
Oh,
so we can't.
maybe we
You
could do
wanna
a
do it
shortened
today?
version of it today, but I don't really want to do it, we could do a little bit and get feedback from the parents today. But not because it's not finished. We were going to have it 100% finished for the CEC, and then I'm going to do some listening and learning tours as we did in the beginning of the year. So
That's fine, whatever you want to do.
okay, all right. So Louis, I'm gonna I just need a minute for him. He's trying to log in. There is a safety meeting this morning, and
it looks like, Mr. Mango, it looks like they're postponing it until tomorrow.
Why?
I'm back.
Louis, what did you hear? They're just saying right now that they're postponing it till tomorrow.
I would assume that they're going to do that. Yeah, I don't.
Now, yeah, because they said it's an access thing, but I think it's because they have too many people logging in, right? Is that what's happening?
I think they made the wrong type of meeting.
Okay.
That's what me and Tracy think. They made like a regular Teams meeting, which fits 250 people, and they invited, 5,000.
Okay. All right. All right. So
Yeah.
good. So Louis, can you put up the agenda very quickly?
Okay.
Welcome, everyone. Wishing happy Valentine's Day and lots of love for tomorrow.
Okay, share. All right, so I can't share my screen. I'm host, right? I also changed my computer. I am the host. All right. So I might have to leave and come back. Can someone else share for a moment?
Yeah.
I'll send you the
agenda.
The agenda.
You have it? Because I have it right here.
It's on the web also. I put everything on the web last night.
All right. I just want to go over what we're going to be talking about today.
I'm sorry. I changed my computer. Got changed it last week, and I didn't. It's my first Zoom meeting. Okay. Chat. This is the.
There we go. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Dr. Mike. I'll be right back.
All right, so in 1 minute, we're going to do a review and approval of January minutes. Then Dr. D'Antona and I are going to do a state of the district and alignment to our DCEP goals and mid-year benchmarks. So we have a lot of really positive things happening that are revealed through our mid-year benchmark data. However, it may not be completely aligned to where we want to be in our goals. And I think that's really important that we as a team talk about that just in terms around how we approach goal setting. But overall, I think we're in a good space. And then Gus is going to be talking about finalizing the DCEP, which is almost complete. What Dr. D'Antona and I are going to work on next week during the winter break is we're going to take all of the feedback that we received and update that. We will send the DLT a final a final copy, and we'll ask you guys to give it one quick read over, and then we'll be finished for this year. And he's going to give CEP and NYSCD updates, and we'll have our high school superintendency report, and then any new business that anyone has. So at this time, Dr. Mike, can you just put up the minutes really quickly? You can scroll past that. And just so everyone knows, I sent you a copy, and also the minutes are on our website.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Gus. Okay, if there are no objections, can we come to consensus on our January minutes?
No objection.
Okay. Shirley, I see the thumb up, so we're good. Just a reminder before we start the official meeting. So Gus is going to spend some time today talking about some of the work that he's doing to gather documents around some of the requests of the state for DLTs, SLTs. So what we have discovered is that not all of our members are signing in. So Lewis added the sign in. If you guys could just very quickly fill out the sign in form, and I'm going to take some time at the beginning of every meeting to make sure that we're doing that. In connection to some of the minutes, I just wanted to update the DLT that Donovan did present to our youth leadership team regarding the program that he showed us at our last meeting around the STEM work and those STEM classes. The students were very interested, so we are going ahead to purchase licenses for the district where schools and students will be able to select the virtual classes that they would like to add, and there will be training for teachers as well layered into that. It could be something that happens during the day, but also after school or morning programs as well. So we're really excited to implement that work. And there is a mention of parent chats in our minutes. I just wanted to let the DLT know that not only do our schools have parent chats, but when Dr. D'Antona and I go to our schools for our principal observations. We also ask that one of the two meetings support us in engaging in a parent chat. And we're learning a lot because we're gearing a lot of our parent chats towards our goals. So if there are no questions, I am going to turn the meeting over to Dr. Mike to present on our state of the district based on our mid-year assessments.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Hope all of you guys are doing well. For the data that I'm going to be sharing with you, we're going to be talking about it in context to the goals that we established with the priority areas from the chancellor, aligning those two things. The window closed on Friday, so some of these things may shift a little bit. This is the makeup window. We have about 300 to 400 children, depending on the assessment, that did not complete that assessment during the window, so they very well may make that up during this week. So some things may shift, and that includes the Algebra 1. So you'll see I did not post the Algebra 1 assessment data yet, as we're still missing some children. But what I will tell you preliminarily is that we are on track to, we're in a good space with the Algebra 1 data thus far. But I will share that at the next meeting, just because it's not fully complete yet. There's hundreds of children that I don't have data on, and that could change things really quickly with the smaller number of children that we have testing. So I don't want to give any false false hope on any of that data. So when that's complete, then I will share it with everyone. Let me just share my screen. So just know that this is a bit lengthy. I'll try to go through it as quickly as I can, and then certainly as you have questions, feel free to ask. But we're going to go through the Acadians district data by subgroup so that you can see where it is that we were and where we are now.
Yep, but wait, Mike, before
yeah.
you do that, I just want to draw your attention to, and I would like to thank Renee Klager from 379 for visualizing what our vision and mission are for the remainder of the school year. Remember, we had started as a district in starting off strong. We just had an assistant principal meeting where we were doing classroom visits and crafting, looking at rubrics and crafting feedback to our teachers in our areas of focus. So as we approached our 100 days of school, they were celebrating almost 100 days stronger, and our support and push to our schools is finishing stronger. So this is all around what Dr. Mike is going to talk about today. And I think the important thing for this team and our SLTs and the community at large, which is why after we present the state of the district to the CEC, I'm going to be going across the schools, very similar to the introduction of my 90-day plan. But our principals and teachers are doing a really great job in unpacking school-based data, where students are, and then doing an MTSS push to see where we can continue to strengthen our students' skill sets in terms of them meeting the standards towards the end of the year. So this presentation is a very important one, because together as a district, we are looking at expectations using our mid-year assessments to move our students towards meeting standards at the end of the year. So yes, sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. So the first one's going to be around Acadians, the Acadians reading data, and from our goals, that's priority 1, that all students learn to read. And for us, it was around our children in grades K to 2, and the improvement that we were seeking there. So when comparing fall to winter, it's evident that we had made progress. We went from around 49 to 50% of our students on or above grade level to around 54+% at this point of the year. Currently not meeting the target that we added to our DCEP. DCEP, we went from the end of school year last year, looking to grow by about 5%. What we have noticed is that if patterns continue from end of year last year, from the mid-year to the end of year last year, we will see another 5% growth, which would bring us about 2% underneath the average of where we were by the end of the year, but bringing us close to around 59 to 60% of children performing on or above grade level in grades K to 2. So there's still obviously more room to grow, which is part of what we are looking to do as a district, is really dig into the information, figure out who are the kids that we need to continue to focus on, particularly those in that well below and below benchmark. If you look at the bars, you'll notice that there is a change in terms of children and the growth that they are making from fall to winter. When we're looking at that through in context of our Hispanic learners, while we're seeing progress, there's still a lot more that we have to do with this particular subgroup, going from 33.5% to around 37% of children that are on or above benchmark. This is currently below what we were tasking ourselves to do from the start of the school year. When we look at it from beginning to middle, yes, we have made progress, but not necessarily achieving that benchmark level at this point of the year. We have seen movement from those that are well below benchmark to below to at or above and above, which is good, but we still have a significant amount of work that we have to do here with this particular subgroup of children. For our Black learners, we've seen progress across the board, which is good. For our Black learners, we are seeing progress here as well, from 42% to 46.78%. This is just under the DCEP benchmark of 1.25%. If the patterns continue from where we are last year, we will meet the benchmark level that we set at the beginning of the year for our Black learners. And we will continue to push towards that end of getting to that space of close to 50% for our Black learners at the district level. For our Asian learners, we did see progress here as well, each of our subgroups by around 4 to 5%. Similarly here for our Asian learners, from 58.3% to 62% at this point of the year. The good part is that we're seeing a reduction in the number of children that are in that well below space, as well as the below space. I'm hearing a little bit of an echo. Danielle, is that, I'm not sure if that's you. Yeah, thank you. For our white learners, similar type of scenario. The amount of growth there was a bit above what the average range was, around now 4 or 5%. Our white learners grew by nearly 7.5% from fall to winter. Again, seeing that change in that low bar where you see the orange and blue, there is a definite change in terms of the progress here as well. Our students with disabilities grew by around 3% from fall to winter. Again, progress from that well below space. We're seeing a change of about 5%, which is obviously something that we want to do. The largest number of children that are in that well below are our kindergartners, which is something that we have to continue to work on, promoting that literacy in our earliest grades, and we're going to continue to work on that as the year goes on, and including our Ls, our English language learners. We did see a 7% change from those children that are well below benchmark. We did see a 5% improvement there as well. This is kind of across the board, that 5% space for our children in early childhood. Still, as I said, lots of room to grow, and it's going to be part of our action planning as a collective DLT and at the district level around how we're going to support this moving forward. To reduce the number of children that are well below and below to being on or above. Does anyone have any questions around K-2 information?
So before, Mike, you go on and
Yeah.
I didn't know if anybody had any questions, but as part of what we introduced in the beginning of the year, I just wanted to spend a little time talking about the work that we've done in our in our learning to read initiative and where we are right now. Because we do believe that this data is moving because of the work of the district team in training our principals and our teachers in using programs such as Foundations and Heggerty with Fidelity. These are research-based phonics and phonemic awareness programs that We had seen gaps in training. There had been teacher turnover from the pandemic, new teachers that didn't have experience in working with these programs. So we made sure that our district staff has gone to all of our schools to assess how teachers are implementing these programs and to provide support, if necessary, to help our teachers in terms of implementation as the program needed to be done and the intention of the program. We have also done professional learning in both of these phonics and phonemic awareness programs throughout the day and after school. And there is a combination of the reading in the brain in terms of learning to read through letters that many of our teachers are engaged in. We have over 450 teachers. And in our conversations, teachers are really seeing the connections between these phonics and phonemic awareness programs and letters and how they can use that to support students in learning to read, but also to assess and make necessary changes when they're seeing students struggling a little bit as part of this program. So we are very excited about this work and will continue to engage in it between now and the end of the year.
Yeah, and just doing this actually reminded me of making sure that you can see it by grade level. Students in grade 2 right now are at 65+% of children that are at or above, which is important because the goal is to get them to a much higher space even between now and the end of the school year. So the trajectory is our kindergartners are in that lowest space of being on or above grade level from around 42% to our first grade, that's around 56%, to our second grade, which is at 65% right now. With the patterns continue, if they continue from last year's, hopefully we will be at that 70+% range for our children in grade 2, which is the path that we want to see happen from our children in K-2 moving forward into third grade and so on. Okay, so our next priority area was around all students are physically and emotionally safe. This is around our chronic absenteeism data, and while this is something that we've been continuing to work on with our schools, we have our case teams working, we have our district team pushing into our case teams, really connecting with them to see where it is that we are and the supports that we can provide. We have, there have been a number of variables that have been a cause to our chronic absenteeism rates, but needless to say, they have increased from the time that we began the school year to where we are now. Our current overall rates in terms of chronic absenteeism is 24% of children that are at risk. This doesn't mean that currently have already missed 18 days. This means that these are children that if patterns continue, will be at risk for being chronically absent before the end of the school year. So the subgroups that are obviously the ones that have the most significant rates are our Hispanic and Black children. Upwards of over 40% for our Hispanic learners and almost 38% for our Black learners, which is significant. It is something that we are going to continue to work on. One of the pushes, in addition to promoting that college and career readiness with the work that Donovan had shared last week, part of that is to also offer those courses to our children that are currently in that space of being chronically absent to as a means of promoting that additional improved attendance rate moving forward at the district level. Also going to be working with our attendance point to create some kind of a district-wide incentive type of based scenario where we're doing something at the district to promote chronic absenteeism rates as well. But this is significant, is something that we do need to continue to work on. Now, in general, the state does not include pre-K and K in their rates. I do because it's important. So these rates would be a little bit lower than what you see here. Our chronic absenteeism rates for our pre-K children is significantly different from what our other grades are. Our children first, second, third, and so on growing up have improved rates comparatively speaking to our children that are 4 and 5. But we do include them because it's important for us to know what that looks like over time. So the rates in the beginning of the year around 18% did include the pre-K, and now we're seeing an even higher rate at this point as well. Does anyone have any comments or questions about chronic absenteeism? We do go over it often So this is not necessarily new news, but it's something that, is super important for us at the district level. So
Yeah. So, Dr. Mike, just moving forward, first of all, I would like to congratulate PS 169 and PS 32. Those two schools did not have an increase in chronic absenteeism when we just did our last benchmark. And actually, they had a slight decrease. So we are using them and their systems as models for other schools in the district. Additionally, as we said in the beginning of the year, our case teams, which includes our attendance supervisor, as well as our student safety manager, our district social worker, are going to visit with our case teams to look at their systems. And in the next few weeks, they're going to be looking at trends and patterns of areas of strength that are working really well. And then they're going to be building professional learning for all of our case teams to participate into to continue to move this work as well.
does anyone have any other comments before I move on to the next?
I have.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there someone speaking before me?
I was.
Yeah,
I'll go
I'm not
after you.
sure.
This is
Yeah,
Francis.
go ahead.
I'll go after.
Okay, so can I speak? My name is Lisa Castillo, and I am a parent at PS 120Q in Flushing. And I'm calling in
You're on mute,
regards to, can
Danielle,
I
you're on
speak?
mute.
I'm sorry. I'm calling in regards
Danielle, you're on
to-
mute, Danielle.
I'm sorry?
Hold on, the superintendent. Yeah.
So Ms. Castillo, I am very happy to answer your questions at the second half of the meeting, but during the DLT,
Oh, sure.
as of right now, we don't have community input around this work. We want to present it, get questions from the DLT, and then at the end of the meeting, I am happy to have you come on and ask any questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So, Francis?
I have a question. I want to know first of all, when we say Asian community, we also are incorporating the Indian population in there, right? Okay, that was my first question. The second one is, what is 169, like the schools, what are they doing? Are they doing something special to increase attendance, or they just happen to have that statistic?
So they definitely are doing something to increase as of all of our schools during their case teams. But each school has a different way that they go about tracking information, supporting these families, supporting these students. I can tell you what PS 32 does. They have it starts with the case team analyzing attendance and having daily communication with teachers. Teachers do outreach to both parents and students. And it is really through a supportive lens, through a positive space, to actually say things like, we miss you and we want you to come back to school, but also to take away that anxiety that a student may feel when they've missed a certain amount of time. To say, when you come back, here's all the things that we'll have in place for you. We don't want you to worry about that. After a child is absent for more than 2 days, at PS 32, that support structure transfers back to the case team, where they reach out to the family and the student to see if there's anything that they can do. And then after the next 2 days, there's support levels that happen at the administrative level. So everything that goes, that happens within PS 32 is based on a 6-day cycle. So chronically absent students are being looked at every 2 days. But every other school does have a system, but we are sharing the successes with all of the district.
Okay. Okay, yeah, and there will be more on this topic, obviously, as we move forward. But at any rate, this is a conversation we're going to continue to have in regards to our district work. iReady reading assessment. This is priority 3. Our goal here was to improve outcomes by a minimum of 5%, particularly for our children, for all students Our Hispanic and our Black learners were the target groups that we identified. I'm sorry, Danielle, I'm going to mute you again. So what you will see in terms of our iReady reading data is there has been a good amount of progress from the beginning of the year to now, stretching from where we were at the beginning. Just under 47% of our students are currently performing on or above grade level. Comparatively speaking, we're looking at about a 10% change from where we were in the beginning to where we are now. With iReady projections, they're projecting us to be at around 57% of children that are on or above grade level. With stretch growth, meaning that they grow more than half a year between now and the end of the year, having us at around 64.5% at this point of the year. That would be just under what our goals were for the district. What we are looking at certainly are the number of children that we have that are performing in this space of one grade level below. There are a number of children that are in this space that will certainly be able to move towards that testing on or above by the end of the school year. In terms of our Hispanic learners, you're going to see a similar pattern in terms of reduction of children that are in that multi-year grade level below, especially moving on up into that space of on or above. With our projections have our Hispanic learners at around 38%, with projected with stretch growth at around 46% of children on or above grade level. Again, that means that we do have to go beyond just half of year's worth of growth between now at the end of the year. That is something that our schools are going to continue to work on to continue to push forward within the context of their teams, as this is a subgroup that is one that we are looking to move forward with, certainly at the district level. You're going to notice that there are a pattern and trend from across groups that we have seen progress across groups. We're looking to continue to bolster that progress as the year goes on. For our Black learners, similarly, you're going to see progress that has been made from the beginning of the year to now, from around 25% to over 30% at this point of the year. You'll see a significant drop and decline in the number of students that are 3 or more grade levels below by almost 9%. Similarly, for our children that are 2 grade levels below, we have increased the number of children that are 1 grade level below with this particular subgroup. With stretch growth, meaning more than half a year's growth between now and the end of the year, iReady projects around 53% of children will be on or above grade level, which means that we would meet the expectations for this particular subgroup at the end of the year. For our white learners, we did see progress from 47% of children on or above to 48%. iReady projects that 60+% of our white learners will be on or above, and 69% with if stretch growth was to be achieved, which means more than half of the year. You'll see here, similarly to our other subgroups, that we are making progress from children that are 3 or more grade levels below to 2 grade levels below, and so on up that scale. For our Asian learners, we did see progress from 47.5% on or above to 59%. iReady has projections of 69+% of our Asian learners will perform on or above, with 76% of children, 76+% of children meeting those expectations if stretch growth is to be achieved. You see that there's progression again from those children that are 3 or more grade levels below, 2 or more grade levels below, which is what we want to be able to see for our kids. For our children, our students with disabilities, the biggest jump here, although we did have more children that are on or above grade level, we did see the biggest jump in terms of the number of children that are multiple years below grade level. From that 3 grade levels below, there was an 11% change from the beginning of the year to now, which is important. 11% to 17% of children on or above grade level. 26+% is where iReady has us projected, all the way upwards to 34% on or above if students achieve stretch growth, which would be well above what our performance has been in previous years in terms of iReady performance for our kids. For our L students, and this you'll notice we have a lot of work to do with our Ls. And for our district, this is a significant number of our children, up over we have 6,000 total L students in the district. So it's always an area that we are focused on to make those improvements. We did see an 8% change in terms of children that are multiple grade levels below standard. iReady has us from 4% to 9% from the beginning of the year to now. Projections around 13% and stretch growth at 19%. If we can push towards that 19%, it would be our highest performance thus far with our Ls, and this is across grades in District 25. So a lot more work that we need to do, particularly with our Ls, especially our Hispanic Ls. And I'll break that down a little bit further as all the information is completely in for us at the district level. By grade, you will see that there are grade levels that are certainly increasing performance more than others. Grade 3, we saw the most significant change in progress from 42% to 57% at the district level. That had the largest change. And each grade level saw a decrease in the percentage of students that are 2 or more grade levels below, which is something that is super important for us at the district level. It's about 9% change from children that are multiple grade levels below across grade levels, which, for our children that are in those multiple grade levels below, the upper trajectory and trend is where we want to be able to see our kids grow from. When we're thinking about it in terms of the actual areas of focus, now remember our not all of our kids in kindergarten, first, second grade test in phonemic awareness, which is in this first box here. Phonics is our second box, high frequency words, vocabulary, comprehension, overall comprehension, literature, and informational comprehension. So this is where we were in the fall. You notice that the percentages, each of them is up in the 60s or high 50s. This is basically indicating the number of percentage of children that are at least 1 grade level below. When we look at that comparatively speaking to the current state, we'll see a reduction in those percentages from BOY to MOY, which is the path that we want to be able to grow from. Now, remember, iReady is along a continuum of grade level. So children are expected to reach that grade level by the end of the year, not necessarily by mid. So at this point, this is where we currently are in relationship to that. The area that shows the most need is certainly inside of a vocabulary development and informational text. 2 of those go hand in hand, and something that we are working on, as you heard Mr. Mango talk about, that whole learning to read and reading to learn space. This is more in that reading to learn space that we're going to continue to grow on and supporting our schools as we engage in our children in close reading. So that is kind of where we are for our iReady reading as well. This is a space where I ask you guys to just kind of think about what you've heard me say thus far and what you've seen in terms of our graphs. We'll come back to this, but I'd love for you guys to kind of just note things that around what we learned from our information thus far, and what you believe we should also be paying attention to at the district level in relationship to the information that I just shared. So we'll come back to this. We'll fill in some of this information as we complete today's presentation. So iReady Math, again, this goal is really more towards the algebra. That information is not complete, but what I can tell you is with the kids that I have in my system so far, and we switched to the MAP assessment, as you guys recall, we have nearly 68% of our children that are currently in MAP is high, average, and high. Those are children that would be on or above grade level in relationship to MAP and the Algebra 1 standard. So that puts us actually above that benchmark space where we were last year. So as soon as all of that information is accumulated, I will be happy to share that again, because 300 kids when we have about 1,400 children testing can skew that one way or the other if the new information coming in is not aligned with what we originally received. So I will give you more information on that, but we have seen positive data so far.
Wait, I want to just say one thing about that. And this is really part of our diversity goal this year, where we talked about how in order to make the number of students more proportionate, right? We had a disproportionality between our Black and Hispanic students and our white and Asian students just in having access to some of our more advanced coursework, which in turn would allow them to have access to more advanced coursework in high school. But when we looked at our data in September, although we were offering access, our students were not where they needed to be in terms of meeting the standard. So that started a conversation where we were saying, it's not just enough to say to our students, like, you can take the Regents if you want to, but it's about how we're preparing them for that. So I'm really proud of one of the things of this, that the work that our schools are doing, the fact that we have aligned our assessment tool to the actual 9th grade coursework, which is why those students are taking MAP, and that our students are showing progress more than they have last year, because there was that duality. First, we wanted to give them access to the work, but then we wanted to make sure that we were supporting them in meeting the standards towards it. So thanks, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, sure. But what I do want to show you right now is the iReady math overall. For us at the district level, it's important that we have our eyes on the math data as well. For us in math, what you will see, and just something for you guys to pay attention to, is the significant number of children that are currently performing in that 1 grade level below space, because there are a number of our children that are in that range. So we have a lot of room for growth into that on or above grade level across our subgroups, which is important. So we have seen progress for our kids from fall to winter, especially when you look at overall, our percentage of children that were multiple grade levels below standard went from 30% to around just under 30% to around 18%, which is a pretty big drop from where we were at the beginning of the year to now in terms of children that are multiple grade levels below. We have seen that progress for our children that are on or above grade level. Overall, we're around just under 42% of children. But we have a significant group of kids that are in that 1 grade level below space of almost 41% of our children. Which means that we've made some progress from fall to winter. Now it's about finishing that progress off for our kids between now and the end of the school year. And this is something that's been pretty consistent across grade levels as well, but something that we're going to continue to attend to at the district level. And we talked about with our building leaders that whole pendulum of really focusing on reading. But it's also about not making sure that we're swinging that pendulum back and forth so that we're not forgetting about mathematics as well. And this space is something that we need to continue to attend to because there are a lot of kids that are just right on the cusp of meeting those standards at mid-year, which is great.
Yep. And Dr. Mike, I just want to connect with our families around this. And this is what's really important when we talk about why we give beginning of year and mid-year benchmarks, because this is the data that we are saying if we want to finish stronger and we have this significant amount of students who are 1 grade level below in math, although our focus right now is in the reading to learn and learning to read realm, because that's what our data says we need to do. But this is where our principals, assistant principals, and teachers kind of get together and start looking strategically at our students to provide the different tiers of MTSS, right? So all of our students who are 1 grade level below, let's look at what iReady was testing them on and how we can support these learners to move them to be early on grade level or mid and above grade level in the classroom during tier 1, right? Those who need more intensive, this is the time where we start to plan and organize that. I think it's important for families to know that this is how we're using data. There's always been so many questions around, like, why do my students have to take these tests? What do we do about it? It's really about consistently and continuously looking at student growth and then making the adjustments necessary, not necessarily changing curriculum, but really looking at what we need to maybe spend a little bit more time focusing on, give different layers of support within the classroom. So our math is really a case where we are now saying to our principals, we want you guys to look at all students, but look at that one grade level below group. Make sure the teachers are aware of who these kids are and what their needs are aligned to the rest of the units of study across the year.
Yeah, thanks, Danielle. And this is the currently the all students. It doesn't tell the full story. We do have to look at our subgroups because there's more needs in our subgroups as we go through this space. So for our Hispanic learners, we did see a change of about 6%, 8%, just under 8% of our children moving from on or above. And you see a much larger percentage of children that are in that one grade level below by about 7% compared to the all students. And we have a larger group of children that are multiple grade levels below. We did see a change of almost 16% of children that were multiple grade levels below, which is good because that's the trajectory we want to go on. But we have a lot more that we have to pay attention to here, especially for our Hispanic learners. The progress is really important, obviously, but we still need to do more to make sure that we're connecting with our Hispanic learners to get them into that space of on or above between now and the end of the school year, with this big percentage of children that are currently one grade level below standard. But that's a trajectory we do want to see from beginning of year to the fall, to the winter, and then obviously hoping that trend continues between now and the end of the year for our Hispanic learners. For our Black learners, similar type of pattern. The overall percentage of children that are on or above grew by 9% from beginning to the mid-year. You'll see a significant change in terms of children that were multiple 3 grades or more below standard by about 18% from the beginning of the year to now, with a very big percentage of children that are also in that 1 grade level below. So we're looking to continue that progress between now and the end of the year to reduce these numbers that are in that multiple grade levels below to be in that 1 grade level below and then on or above grade level as the year progresses between now and the end of the year. For our Asian learners, we did see about a 4%, just under 3.5% change from beginning of the year to the winter. We have a much smaller percentage of children that are in that 2 or 3 grade levels below, comparatively speaking, to our all students and our other subgroups. We do have a large percentage of children here as well that are in that 1 grade level below standard as well for our Asian subgroup. For our white learners, similar pattern in terms of reduction of the number of children, that percentage of children that are in that multiple grade levels below standard. We did see about an 8.5% change from children that are mid or above, early on or above grade level, and a large percentage here of children that are in that 1 grade level below, currently at mid-year. But again, pattern is pretty consistent in terms of change from our lowest performers all the way to our highest performers. We're seeing progress there. Obviously, more needs to be done in general. For our students with disabilities, again, we've seen about a 6% change, 6.5% change or so for our children that are for our students with disabilities. Again, big chunk of children in that 1 grade level below. Huge change in terms of children that were 3 grade levels below by almost 20% of our children that were performing 3 grade levels below in the fall have now moved between where they were there and either 2 grade levels below or 1 grade level below. As a district, we have seen progress here. Again, lots more to do for our special needs students with special needs. And then our Ls have changed by around 10% for children that were on or above. The biggest change here, you'll notice, are children that are 3 or more grade levels below. It was around 26% change for children that were in that space. So that's the kind of progress that we do want to make moving forward. And obviously, you see here the 50.6%, almost 50.7% of our children 1 grade level below. A lot of room there for us to move and improve as the year goes on. So lots more in store for our children as we go forward. For our kids that are in the fall, we noticed that grades 4 to 8 demonstrate lower percentages of students performing below grade level in numbers and operations, algebra and measurement, and geometry concepts had the most significant gaps in performance across grade levels. You'll see now currently those percentages have changed. If you look between them, the percentages have changed in terms of children that were 1 grade level below. The area that continues, and Danielle, I think I'm mute you again. Okay. The area that continues to be the one that we need to attend to, certainly geometry, is that strand typically is one that occurs later in the year in our curriculum. So kids typically underperform in this area and then wind up doing far better as the year comes to a close. But you'll see here that that is an area that we need to continue to attend to, as well as our algebra strand and focus on problem solving. Those are going to be things that we continue to attend to at the district level moving forward. I know I did that rather quickly, but anyone have any comments about the math data currently? Okay, and this will be coming soon. I promise you, as soon as I get this information, I will be happy to share with you what the map data has said in completion from that assessment. I actually touched base with one of the schools that hadn't had any information in there, and that one of our largest ones to administer the Algebra 1 Regents, and she just informed me that all of her kids have taken it on Friday. So that's why I don't have it accumulated in my database yet, but I will organize that and I will share that as soon as possible. And the last one was our parent engagement goal. The goal was to improve upon our ratings from where we were in the beginning. By the end of the year last year with the school survey, we had about 86% of our families kind of indicated a positive response rate. We wanted to improve that across our schools that were in that space to where we are now. So this was the survey that we had given at the beginning, at the mid-year. So we work with President's Council to organize a survey with a series of questions to ask our community. And this was done in multiple languages, from English, Spanish, Chinese, and Korean. We received back just under 1,200 responses thus far. We obviously want many more of our families to continue to share that. We'll mention it again during President's Council today for our PTA presidents to continue to help us with that outreach, and certainly with our schools asking our families to continue to support that outreach. But we did get some interesting information back thus far. The first question this year: have you attended a general meeting? We have 54% of our families say yes, they have. Just under 46% said no. Do you feel comfortable engaging with my child's school? 81.5% said yes. 15%, just under 16% said neither agree or disagree, and just under 3% said that they disagreed with that statement. My school provides me with an opportunity to get to provide feedback. Just under 74% of our family said yes, that is something that happens. 5% disagreed, and just under 21.5% neither agreed or disagreed. And those I kind of, that whole neither agree or disagree, I kind of lump into that space, not to say that they disagreed, but I lump them together, because if you're neither agreeing or disagreeing with that, there's something that we need to figure out to make sure that families can provide that feedback. If they don't feel like they can or can't, then that tells me that we need to figure more about that. The next one, in terms of progress and receiving information in terms of their children and progress that they're making, just under 78% agreed with that statement. 15%, just under 15% said that they neither agreed or disagreed, and 7.34% said that they disagreed in terms of receiving the progress measures on their children. I met with my child during parent engagement time. 78.37% agreed, just under 15% disagreed, just under 7% disagreed, neither disagreed or, I'm sorry, excuse me, just under 15% neither agreed or disagreed, and then just under 7% disagreed with that statement in terms of being able to connect with teachers during parent engagement time. In terms of receiving contact, this was the highest percentage of response in terms of agreement. Just under 90.46% of our families said that they are receiving communication from schools via phone, email, newsletter, website, which is important. 7% neither agreed or disagreed, and 2.5% disagreed with that statement. Just under 85% of families that completed the survey said that there has been talks around the importance of attendance at their school. Under 3% that said that they disagreed, and just under 13% that neither agreed or disagreed. My child's social emotional needs are being met. Under 74% agreed with that. Just under 20% neither agreed or disagreed, and just over 6% disagreed with that statement. My child's needs are being met academically. 77.5% agreed. 17% neither agreed or disagreed, and 5.5% disagreed. My concern, the school addresses my problems promptly or concern promptly. 76% agreed. Over 18% neither agreed or disagreed, and over 5% disagreed. And then the last prompt here was around whether or not families would like additional support with either parenting or social emotional learning support. And 63% of our families said yes, which I found very interesting, because that amounts to almost 700 of our 1,200 families or parents that completed this are saying as though this is an area of additional support that could be needed. So there's a lot of information here that I think is important for us to continue to reflect on. And certainly would love, our committee's responses in terms of what they've heard and what it might mean for us in terms of next steps in this area. I'm really happy to know that we have a lot of our families know that they're receiving communication from our schools, which is really great. But there are other areas here that are important for us to kind of dig into a little bit more. The social emotional learning component, the receiving the progress measures, something really important. Having families attend general meetings, really important. So there are a number of things here that were kind of illuminated from me, just in terms of what parents have said. That for us, what can be the next steps in terms of organization of initiatives or professional learning supports for schools to really bolster these numbers moving forward. So any comments about what you see here thus far from the families that completed it? Yeah, Joe, go ahead.
Okay, I'm just curious, what kind of emotional support or support are they looking at, like social emotional? Because I just wonder what that is.
Yeah, so the question wasn't necessarily explicit into which domain. When we're thinking social emotional learning, it's in the areas of that management, self-management, self-awareness, social awareness, relationship building. Those are the kind of areas that that we typically connect to social emotional learning. But that's a good point, Joe. Maybe perhaps that's something else that we need to kind of follow up on in terms of what. So here's what you guys said, what types of areas, and then offer within those areas.
Yeah, because I was thinking the same thing, Joe, that you said. Because that's a very big question. You would like information on parenting and social emotional support, and then to get an idea of how parents think or what parents think social emotional support is.
Mm-hmm.
We know as a DLT, here's the things that we look at. But so yeah, I think there needs to be a follow-up to that. I agree.
Any other comments? So you guys will have access to the data that's here and to the information that was shared. I do ask that if there are things that hit you or questions that are raised for you, I'm going to continue to refine this between now and our CEC meeting. as more information is compiled, so that that this might be even updated. The percentages might be a little bit different depending on the additional children that test between now and the end of this week, which is when the window completely closes. But I will update and modify. I do have to add some grade level content in here as well that I'm noticing I only did it in one space for the iReady reading. I will do that for math and Acadians as well, so that we can have the breakdown there. But any other information that is needed, I will include, including MTSS. I will show you what that snapshot looks like. I'm still compiling that information. Preliminarily, it shows that we've seen a 10% change for children that were receiving MTSS before to where they are now. So we have seen progress. There are some schools that I still have to enter with that information. As soon as that is all complete, I will have that ready for you guys too.
Thanks so much, Dr. D'Antona. This
Yeah,
was a
sure.
great presentation. So Joe, think about if there's anything additionally that you would want to see to this for the CEC. And Francis, I don't know if this would be too long for you tonight, if there's some things you want to cut out, things you want us to just highlight, kind of do a to be continued, and then sort of tell them that the long version will be during the CEC. You don't have to let us know now, but you know, maybe today when I have the conversation with you, about tonight, you'll let us know.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thanks.
Superintendent, just one comment. So we have the CEC meeting is Wednesday, March 1st. So we have like 2 weeks. We have enough time, correct, to get that algebra, the math.
Oh yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yep, that'll be there.
Yeah, I expect the vast majority will have now been completed as of Friday. Just that the information didn't kick over to me so that I can see it. So I'm going to double check again today, and all that info should be ready to go by the CEC.
Yeah. And Joe, we'll send it to Carly in advance to send to the rest of the CEC members to see if they want anything else in the presentation. Okay, perfect. All right. Any other questions about that presentation? So as you know, according to our agenda, Mike did mention not just what the data says, but where we are in terms of meeting our goals. So although we're not definitely there, if we do intervene in the ways that we're saying and the supports that we're putting out there, we're hoping to meet those goals. But now is the time when you're looking at a DCEP or a CEP at an SLT level that we're going to throw out there. Is there any other additions or changes that you think we should make that would support the district in moving us towards meeting our goals?
I have comments and questions.
Okay. Is this the parent from 120?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm sorry, what's your name?
Lisa Castillo.
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So Lisa, I'll actually put it out to the rest of the DLT because I want to thank you for being here as a parent. And if the rest of the DLT is okay for your comments and questions right now, I would be okay with that. But normally, Lisa, like when we do DLTs, it's not an opportunity for the community to ask during the day, during the meeting. So, but since you're here and I want to thank you for being here, as long as there's no objection from anyone else on the DLT, we can, because I know this was lengthy. This presentation will also be at our CEC meeting where the community will be able to make comments too. But I do want to respect your time and the fact that you came to our DLT meeting. So are there any objections of the team? Okay, so you can go ahead, Ms. Castillo.
I'll be quick. You mentioned at the presentation about absenteeism percentage. We do understand and know that there are a lot of new viruses coming out. The kids, it's gonna decrease the attendance level and percentage in all schools. I don't know about most parents. I know a lot of parents, what we do is when the kids are sick, we take them to the hospital. And, that takes time. It could be a day. And then if they have a virus, they can't go to school. We are in understanding that there's, ever since COVID hit, there's been a surge in different types of viruses, which will account into the lowering of percentage of the absentees for all our students, right? And so I just wanted to mention that even if the percentage is is decreasing in absenteeism. We are understanding that there are viruses and that kids are coming down with and ill and getting sick.
Yep.
And I don't know about other people's kids, but when my kid is sick, I have to take care of him. I have to stay home and I have to take care of my child. Even
Yep.
though I work, it's my
So
responsibility.
yeah, so I want to just spend a little time talking about how we address chronic absenteeism at the district level, because I think that's important. First and foremost, we have recognized the viruses that are coming out, and we say a child should never come to school when they're sick. When we do look at chronic absenteeism, though, we talk about the data and the impact that it has on student learning, and it's really important for us, for parents, to know that. So for example, when we speak to chronic absenteeism, it's a student missing 2 days a month. And one of the things that we say is there have been national studies that show a child who misses 2 days a month, by the time they get into 8th grade, will have missed the equivalency of 1 year of school. Additionally, students who are chronically absent in District 25, just from our research, but across the country, is that they score significantly lower than other students in overall progress, but also in their ability to learn to read by 3rd grade, which is one of the flags that we use for a child to be successful within the remainder of their school time, high school and beyond. So this is, for us, really a push for parents to understand that having healthy habits of attendance is very important for a student's success. Never will we say that a child should come to school sick, but what we do say is, if your child is sick and they are chronically absent, how can we set those goals? Because the good part of that is a child can come out of being chronically absent. I tell the story, my daughter had a virus in the beginning of the year. She is going to be chronically absent until April, but her and I together as the parent have set goals to say, I understand sometimes you wake up and you need that day off, but you need to go to school because it's important. I have set attendance goals with my children the same way I set reading goals and math goals and other goals, because we see the connection between student learning and absenteeism. So, one of the presentations that I've made, and I do invite you to look at some of our DLT meetings or other presentations, is that chronic absenteeism has become the new educational crisis nationally. Years ago, it was reading. Now it's about chronic absenteeism. So what we say to families is, when your child's not sick, they need to be in school. And that's really what it's about. So we are recognizing the viruses, and we're not saying you should send your child to school sick.
My not that. My that when you send a child to school sick, which I've seen many parents send their kids to school coughing, cold, and everything, and then the other kids sick, other kids who have asthma, other kids who get highly affected by kids who come to school sick. Now, I understand what you're saying about absenteeism and about them learning about reading and doing better in school. That's very important. I'm very high. Problem is when you send a child to sick with a cough or a cold because the parent has to work and no one can take care of the child, they're not taking responsibility by sending that child to school sick.
Right. But Ms. Castillo, this is a different conversation. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if you have another comment about the presentation.
The iReady. How do you address those students like my child who's Hispanic and white and Caucasian? Yeah.
So one of the things that we had spent some time talking about is we look at students in many different ways, both as a district and as a school. And I see your principal is on here today. So thank you, Mr. Marino, for being here. So I do suggest that you do outreach to Mr. Marino, because he will be happy to speak to you about how. And so not only do we as the DLT do a state of the district, but all of the principals in our districts will also be doing that for their community. So Mr. Marino, if you can reach out to Ms. Castillo to let her know when that will be, and then you can.
I know when.
Absolutely. Hi, Ms. Castillo. Absolutely.
Okay.
If you have time, Ms. Castillo, if you have time today, if you could swing by the building, I'll sit down with you and I'll go over all that.
Sure, no worries. I know when the meeting is actually. There's a meeting.
Oh, great.
Meetings are. Thank you.
Okay.
And another question, it looks like the first grade looks like on your stats that the progress is very low. they seem to be suffering when they hit first grade, and it takes longer for them to progress or be at their standards or better. What are we about that?
So depending upon, so we have overall goals that we just went over, right? So if there is a particular grade that needs support, we focus our goals and objectives around that. So if it's around reading, our reading to our learning to read agenda, we will support schools where the data shows that they need significant supports. But as a district, when we broke up our areas of focus on learning to read and reading to learn, the professional learning and supports that are coming from my office to the schools around topics such as phonics and phonemic awareness have been addressed through training and professional learning. So once again, we say to families, if you want to know specifically and strategically what your school's goals are and how they're addressing their data, and Gus, I know you're going to talk about this in a minute, but their CEPs are public. You can also attend one of their SLT meetings or their PTA meetings, or communicate and contact the school, and they'll be able to support you individually. But for us, when I had mentioned that we're doing we're ramping up our phonics and phonemic awareness programs, that's one of the things that would address supporting our first grade students.
Yes, I understand. I've been a PTA officer for over 20 years and on school leadership team meetings for the past 20 years. And now I'm very active in this is my third time around with my third child.
Oh, very nice, very nice. Okay, so
Yeah, and just Ms. Castillo, just so you know, from beginning of the year to now, grade 1 actually made the most amount of progress from beginning of year to this point.
Okay, because looking at the stats, it looks like once they get to first grade at the beginning of the year, they suffer.
So no, kindergarten often, at least over the past couple of years, has a lower starting point than does our other grade levels, and mostly because they are just now getting into building the phonemic awareness and those phonics-based skills to become readers. But when we're looking at our first graders from the beginning of the year to now, they actually had the biggest shift in terms of children that are on or above, comparatively speaking, to other grade levels. They changed by almost 20% from the beginning of the year to now.
I just read statistics a little differently, but okay. What I'm trying to say is that let's not wait till the students need intervention and be a little bit more proactive.
Yeah, so I hear what you're saying. So the proactive part of where we're going as a district is through the work that our schools have have been and continue to engage our kids in, especially in that early childhood area. Those two things are the building blocks for our kids to be able to be readers, and that's that phonics and that phonemic awareness work. And that's actually where we're seeing the progress being made. That to me is the exciting space. And if when we get to our second graders and building them to the capacity where they are currently, the goal is that by the time they get into third grade, they're entering that space as readers. And that's the progression we're looking to see over the course of the first 3 years of their schooling.
Yeah, but the other piece is we spend a lot of time talking about MTSS, which is multi-tiered systems of supports that we start in as early as kindergarten. So we don't really wait. MTSS is set in place right away based on our beginning of year assessment. So we really look strategically and very closely at the needs of students, and we make sure that they're getting the support that they need as well in order to move towards meeting the standards, which is why we spent some time today really talking about how we see that we're growing across the district. But if you have, or any of, and we're also going to be speaking a little bit about this tonight as well at our President's Council meeting. So we can I can speak to individual PTAs, both Dr. Dantona and I, should they have any questions or concerns. Okay, so I know, and I do, for the sake of time, want to move the meeting forward, and I thank you for being here today, Ms. Castillo, and just know that if ever you wanted to have a question or comment, you could always email us in advance, but you are welcome to come to our CEC meeting, where you will see a very similar presentation, and there'll be a little bit more data added to it, so thank you for coming today. Okay, so I am going to turn the meeting over to Gus. Thank you, Gus, for
Okay.
the work that you've done and for preparing for today.
Thank you, Superintendent. I'm not going to show any visuals. I'm simply going to speak to it and take any questions. After a period of about a little over 12 years, the New York State Education Department has decided to begin monitoring Title I programs again. This is something that I don't know, Daniel, do you remember the monitoring at the school level? It's been about 12 years. Last time was they monitored STH when Superstorm Sandy hit. And then when there was the swine flu, I remember they were doing school level visits. So it's been that long since they've done any school level and district level monitoring. So they decided to do it this year. What they did was they're monitoring every district, and this speaks very much to all of the fine work that District 25 already has in place. You didn't wait for monitoring to come to have your DCEP, your meetings, your data, really everything that they're interested in place already. You have everything in place, and you have the structure which we've had for many, many years, which speaks directly to what the state education department is interested in. And I'll explain that in a moment. So they're monitoring the districts, and then they're monitoring 70 schools citywide. Now, the two schools that they picked in District 25 are 25Q120 and 25Q379. I have met remotely with the principals and their teams, and they are well underway on providing materials for the review. Now, right now, what's important to understand, what the state is doing is they're doing a paper review. They are collecting documents from all the 32 community school districts, and they're collecting documents from 70 schools citywide. In 25's case, it's 2 schools. So it's a document review, and they have these elaborate lists of the kinds of documents that they're collecting. And we've provided the schools and the districts with the state documents that indicate what kind of information is being collected. Luckily,
Gus, Shirley has a question.
Yes, Shirley.
Shirley, did you have a question?
Not a question. I want to comment onto what Gus, but I want Gus to finish because I haven't mentioned it because he brought it up in the other districts. But I'm gonna say why it's why they're starting to do the audit, and it's because of parents.
Okay, well, you may know.
Okay.
See, you know more about it than I do.
Go, Shirley.
All I know is that we received word that and we actually received the word last week, so we had to scramble. So it's a document review at this point. I don't believe they're doing 70 schools, collecting documents from 70 schools citywide. They have never visited, to my knowledge, DLTs. They have just asked for materials for DLTs. So my expectation is they're not going to come to DLTs, although they could if the district wanted them to. They've never done that. But what they will do is they will choose from the 70 schools. They don't have, I believe, the capacity to visit 70 buildings. So they will choose a subset. Maybe they'll choose 30, maybe they'll choose 20. I don't know. It depends on them. and their capacity. So what they're going to do is between these documents for the review, for the monitoring, and they're monitoring Title I programs, and I'll talk about that in more detail in a moment. The school and the district documents that we're collecting are due this Friday, and I have to call out District 25 and specifically Louis Latito, who has provided technology using his genius technology skills to all of Queens North in helping me create a database to collect all those documents. So, it's another example of how in Queens we support each other and work together collaboratively to get things done. So thank you, Louis, and thank you, District 25. Just to give you an overview, they're looking at 3 schools in 24, 2 schools in 25, 1 school in 30, and 3 high schools. That's what I've got for Queens North for our geographic area. The 2 schools that I mentioned in 25, I've already met with. And I was pleased to see that a parent from 120 was on the DLT, and the principal also, I don't know if they're both still on, when they send me their school information, mention that they have even participated in DLTs, because it's all about participation, communication, etc. So the review and the documents are very similar in both the district level and the school level. They're broken up into 2 broad categories, ladies and gentlemen. They're monitoring Title I and comprehensive school planning. Now, Title I is the extra help program, as I call it when I do workshops for the community and parents, for schools. Typically in your CEP, it's the MTSS, it's described, but it's not a program in isolation. It's part of comprehensive educational planning, broadly defined in the whole school. And Title I, particularly in school-wide program schools, is an integral part of what takes place in every aspect of the school. And the CEP and other parts of the educational plan, beyond the CEP, speak to comprehensive educational planning. So at both the district level and at the school level, they're obviously, they always begin by looking at the CEP and the DCEP. Now, the DCEP, as you know, you're in the final stages of completing it. This morning, for example, you did what you do excellently so many times. You talked about data. You showed a PowerPoint. The superintendent mentioned the fact that parent chats are part of. Remember at the very beginning of the meeting, I think you mentioned chats and how you even when you visit schools, you try to engage parents. So the whole notion is that the plan is inclusive and comprehensive. So all of this information, all of these PowerPoints that we've done since September, all of the meetings, I'm collecting from the district, the meetings, the agendas, all of the different pieces that have to do with comprehensive education planning, and particularly anything related to Title I that relates to the district as a whole. And you have everything in place, and I've shared the information with the superintendent, and I know that you're well underway in sending me the information. If Louis is listening, and he probably is, just this morning before the meeting, I got a protocol from Central about how they want the files named. So after this meeting, I'm going to send out an email to everybody. And I have met with all the districts, and I've spoken to all the district folks and all the school representatives about this. Right now, It's not a fiscal review. When they go to the state, they're going to the schools, and let me tell you about the timeline. So all of this is due next Friday. Mid March, they will choose the subset of schools that they're going to visit, and they're going to do that between March and May 31st, and they will give us notice that they will visit particular schools. Now, the two schools that they're collecting information from in District 25, they may choose them, they may not choose them. Just on my past experience, they tend to, choose some districts. They usually don't go to all. It's been over a decade, so it's hard to say how they will behave this time around. But the information will be forthcoming as to where they're going to go. The team that will support every school that will get a in-house a monitoring visit from the state will be myself, whoever the district wants to send as a representative, our senior grants officer, and our budget lead, budget director for 25. That's the team. And we will support the school at the visit. And as I think I mentioned, I've done this many, many years, and the protocols are very, very similar. So I do not expect that we would have any problems. After the visit is over, if they have any questions, both vis-a-vis the district level or the school level, we will respond in writing to them, and I will support both the schools and the district in writing those responses, as I've done in the past. So I expect that everything will go smoothly. So comprehensive planning, and particularly Title I, is one part of it at both the school level and at the district level. The next big piece is parent engagement and involvement. And this is where all the wonderful work that you've done at the district level. Remember how we've discussed that PACs have to be in place, parent advisory councils. So I know that you have those in place. I know that you have a district PAC, a DPAC. All of that information about specifically how parents are engaged in the Title I program at the district level are key pieces of information that we will collect. And you just shared a survey. I mean, you go above and beyond even, what is minimally required. So all of this parent engagement, I know that over a decade ago, Superintendent Domingo decided that parent engagement needed to be increased in District 25. I don't know if you remember that, Danielle, and you started an initiative, and this has continued all of these years, and we see the fruits of all of your labors as a team and the DLT in what you presented just this morning, let alone all the other times. So all of this information, surveys, etc., and the way it's supposed to work is the PAC is supposed to talk to the PTA or PA, and everyone is part of the SLT, or at the district level, the DLT. And you have these representatives here. In fact, you even had school representation. And we have representation and collaboration with the high schools as well. Every meeting, there's a high school report, and I've met with the high school folks that are involved in Queens North, and they will be providing me with similar information from that. Now, remind me, because I have multiple districts and dealing with many schools, we have already approved, if I remember correctly, your parent engagement policy, have we not? That's already done. And that policy is going to be part of the DCEP, as it is at the school level. Now, we routinely, as Title I requires, send out the title, the policy to the schools, or you have it on your website. And I believe you translate it. Don't you send it to translation and get it translated? So just the same at the school level and at the district level, they're going to want us to show them that the policy is known in the district, that is a real document, that it's used, that PACs and PTAs and PAs and school, everybody's aware of it, both at the district level and at the school level, and that we make an effort to make everybody aware of it in the languages that are used in the district. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the parent engagement policy and put it into the database that I'm putting into all of your documents. So I remember that it's finalized already, and I believe you have an adoption date on it, if I remember correctly. And I'm going to cut it out and put it in as a separate document. The DCEP is in its final stages of being completed. The deadline on the DCEP is the 26th. If I get the DCEP from you earlier, I will begin working on it over the break. As I believe I told you at the previous meeting, it's my intention to take the DCEP and cut and paste it once you finalized it and approved it, and put it into iPlan, because unlike in the past, it will reside in iPlan, just like school CEPs, and become publicly available that way. It's just the timing is a little different, since I have to provide everything to the state by Friday, and the DCEP is due a little later. So if I have it later, I'll put it in to iPlan later. But the parent engagement policy will be put in, and I've I've given the district a bunch of questions, as I've given the school, and they're in the process of sending me documentation for all the different pieces on parental engagement, involvement, review of data. Now, just like they're collecting all of the the DLT meeting materials, I have asked the two schools involved to send me all of their SLT documentation as well. And they're in the process of sending me that material, and we established a database for doing so. So it's going to be a busy week, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very optimistic that we will be stellar in collecting everything we need to collect at the district level and at the two schools that are involved. Then the state and the city will review what we put in there. We will probably have even more than they ask for, and then they'll decide as to whether they're going to do an actual review or not. As I said, they have not asked for any fiscal information at this point, although the fiscal folks, the SGO and the budget director are looking at the school budgets as well. There is no fiscal review as far as the district level is concerned. And right now there is no fiscal review at the school level, but we are looking at everything to make sure that if they do pick the schools, everything will be in place. I have provided the schools with a document for the 1% set aside, as I have the district office. And I know that everybody held the meeting explaining to the parents and the community about the Title I program. So that's basically it in a nutshell. One other thing. They also want proof that the DCP, just like they do for the CEP, has been collaboratively put together, and the constituents know about it. So I'm going to be sending out the usual DocuSign that all of you have signed and seen in the past. See, that's why it's so important that you do everything and you do it all so well. I already have they're also asking for information about, remember you did on the consolidated plan, the signatures of that document and the DCIP. So I already have those from you, and I'm going to send them all in. And the DCP we've yet to do, and I'm going to send that in. The schools, of course, have their own signature pages, which they upload to iPlan, and that takes care of that piece. So I hope I haven't taken up too much time, because I know this meeting is lengthy to begin with. I'll take any questions or comments on anything I've said so far. And once again, I want to thank District 25 for its Queens North in general support in this whole process.
I just want to add just to reinforce Gus's point that we need to continue doing what we're doing, because everybody's not District 25, everybody's not the borough of Queens across the city. So a lot of parents was complaining for the past couple of years about Title I, the documentation, how the school is spending the money, especially the parent engagement. So it's been pushed back from certain parents, was holding back other parents from reporting New York City to the state. And now it's gotten to a boiling point that they are just like, okay, go report to the state. Because it's not like a pocket, it's not like a little one here, one school here. It's like across the city. Title I protocols are not being followed. So it's not surprising that they're doing the check, because probably some parents already reported to the state, but that group that was holding them back, trying to get Central to being whole schools more accountable with the documentation and making sure these meetings happen. Funds are being spent appropriately as in the guidance of federal and state law. So that is what's coming to head now, finally, that they're going to do an audit. I guess to push to make sure that, these are these fundings, these title fundings has restrict protocols and guidelines to follow, and they need to be followed. Otherwise, we're going to lose funding.
And Shirley, I know you're letting Central and everybody know that in Queens North, we do everything appropriately and on time.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you, Shirley. And you know what? I say this all the time, although it is lengthy and time takes a lot of time, there's always something to be learned through the audit process, right? I learned a lot about when I was audited from the state for both Title I, when I was a first year Title I school, and then in terms of my E&L compliance. So we welcome that, and we welcome the state's feedback on where we are as a district. So we're happy to do that. But Shirley, while you're on, would you like? So Gus, is your report concluded?
Yeah, that's basically it. The CPs are all posted. They're online, and everybody can look at them. And if you find anything missing, please let me know, and I will find out why.
Okay, great. So Shirley, do you want to do the citywide high school committee report? Did you have one this month?
Yes. Well,
okay.
The meeting was just on the 31st of Tuesday. So the formalized notes aren't, so that's why it hasn't been sent yet. We haven't received the formalized note, but just the 31st, the District 79 gave presentation on about their schools. There are over 400 sites. They did videos, they did presentations, and to describe what's going on in District 79 schools, what they're doing. So so we heard from Superintendent Glenda Esperance, Veronica Pachado, and Stacy Ogler about District 79. Then the hidden gem kind of aligned with District 79, was more about transfer schools, but it was about the youth and borough centers that they have for transfer students and new immigrants, and where they can go and get additional programming and resources and opportunities for those families. So that was the crux of the Citywide High School Committee meeting on the 31st of January. You want me to go into Queens High School President's Council, or you want me to wait?
Yeah, you could, no, you can.
Okay, so Queens High School President's Council on the 18th of January, we had our part 2 of elevating the high school voice. We switched up the format that this time, not only being the facilitator, we were the sole moderator of that of our event, and we had the students do a student-led presentation with the principals, showing the different Queens high schools in the borough and what they're doing to reimagine high school experience. That was part 2. So the title was Elevating the High School Voice, Reimagining the Queens High School Experience. We had all the high school superintendents as panelists, including the citywides. We had Queens High School UFT as panelists, someone from Central was panelists, and the Queensboro President's Office was also as panelists. And again, they showcases high schools throughout the entire borough. So it wasn't just Queens North, Queens South, but all the schools in the North, in the South, in New Vision, CUNY Urban Assembly, etc. In the borough. So the UFT brought up, it was James Vasquez, who's one of the high school UFT reps, and Leo Gordon, who's in charge of the CTE program in the boroughs. So Queens has the most CTE programs in the city, and they want to make sure that every school have at least one or multiple CTE programs to align, to show what the borough is doing to align with Chancellor's Pillar number 1, reimagining the high school experience. The Queensboro office also saying what they're doing. They have youth programs, youth council, the youth advisory. So the borough is like in a whole in sync of reimagining that high school experience and experience for youth in the borough. Our high school stakeholders who weren't panelists or moderators, they were able to ask questions or make comments to the panelists about on this specific topic, reimagining high school experience, which also touch reimagining is, making sure they're safe. They have to feel safe, no matter whatever wonderful programs we may have, they must feel safe in the school, going to school, coming from school, and their social, mental, and physical well-being as well. Social emotional was addressed, all in part of reimagining that high school experience. Queens High School President, we have passed a resolution in December, and we highlighted this in the Citywide High School Committee on Tuesday about supporting the Borough High School Partnership and opposing the Citywide Leadership Team. This, we were supposed to have a pilot program of this last school year, but the first deputy chancellor at the time, Daniel County, is retired. It was supposed to start in Queens. We wanted to start back because we need a borough forum. We have a citywide forum, and we have the district where we don't have a borough forum where all the high schoolers, all the stakeholders can meet together and align stuff as a borough for high schools, because high schools, for President's Council, high schools is the borough and not a specific district. So to meet like bi-monthly or quarterly, not a monthly meeting, but to make sure that we're all working together to ensure that our students are college and career ready and civic ready when they graduate, which also aligns with the chancellor with the economic stability of when they graduate, they can be, our youth, our scholars can be economic stable. And we oppose the citywide leadership team. We're not going to go into much detail. It will be at the notes, but basically it will be like a redundant structure for high schools. We already have a citywide platform, which is the Citywide High School Subcommittee. And what's the beauty about it, it's a committee of all the DLTs across the city. So everyone should be in uniform and knowing what information, what high schoolers are doing. This committee is not just parents, it's the principals, it's the superintendents, it's DC 37, it's the teachers. So this committee already has all the high schools stakeholders in the city in once a month, meeting once a month. So there's no need to have an additional structure when we already have one in place. Tonight is our President's Council meeting. Usually we all align at the same day. Ours is hybrid. Our in-person portion is at the UFT headquarters. And I'm pretty sure Joe's going to talk more about it. Yeah, talk about it. That the citywide education council elections, it has been extended to the 23rd, but Queens High School President's Council holds a candidate forum for the 2 seats on the citywide council in high schools, and our candidate forum is April 19th. And on this Wednesday, there's a vacancy because one of our reps is now a PET member representing the CECs for Queens. So they're gonna interview candidates to replace Efri Zachary on the CCHS. And I think I talk enough. That's it for my report.
Okay, thank you, Shirley. Anybody have any questions for Shirley? Okay, Bill.
Good morning, everyone. Let me just share my screen.
Bill is sharing his screen.
Does everyone see the?
Yes, we see the
All
deck.
right, you can go ahead. Go ahead, Shirley.
I just want to add that Queens North did consult with parents, or actually not only with the DLT members here, high schools, but they consulted with the whole community on their DCEP.
Thank you, Shirley. So first and foremost, we want to celebrate African American history, and we've definitely made progress, but we have a long way to go. For Queens North High Schools, for D25, these are our schools. We also have a superintendent's advisory. These are the next dates for the advisory. We also have upcoming town hall dates. And we're trying to use technology, so you'll see that we're trying to embed QR codes and making it easier for our parents, trying to reach them where they are and get as many people involved as possible, because we are all about collaboration and we are really trying to push that out. We also have family forums. These are some of the dates for the upcoming family forums. So the DCEP review, this is one slide that I put in. As Shirley mentioned, we are in collaboration with the principals, the assistant principals, the parents, students of our schools. This was one way that we kind of received feedback from our constituents. We had a World Cafe style feedback session where we reviewed the entire CEP, and everyone at the meeting was able to weigh in and provide different levels of feedback to us. We also want to mention some of our student-led initiatives. So we have district logo, motto, and color contest. We had a student internship program. We have a students' needs survey and a new bus stop advocacy team. So with that, we do have our new logo, which you will see plastered over many of our new resources. And what's really interesting about this logo, if you take a look at it, and this was created by one of our students, is that it kind of resembles a ship, right? So you have the pencil that is kind of the mast, and then you have the protractor, which is part of the sail, and a book on the other side. And then you have the Q, that piece is kind of like the rudder. So we really like the idea that our students are sailing into their career, sailing into their success, and finding themselves. I do know that Aviation High School is not part of District 25, but I did want to highlight some of the excellent work that Principal Jackson is doing there. And I did put in a YouTube link, which is showing some of the efforts that they have with the FFA, or the FAA, which is the Federal Aviation Administration. So they have 2 CTE tracks for their students. One is in airframe maintenance and the other one is in power plant maintenance. Students at this particular school actually spend half of their time in the maintenance classes. So the students really have to be excited and really eager to be part of this particular program, because it does take a lot of their time, and there are certifications that they receive, and they're challenging tests in order for them to receive this certification. So we really want to honor all the students that are part of Aviation High School, and making this an initiative. And we're also trying to, from a Queens North perspective, push out and give more of our schools opportunities for CTE and for mentorship programs. Now I'm going to turn over to our DCEP feedback. This is just a slide that shows some of the dates and where we are with our particular DCEP. As you'll see, the big date is February 17th. The DLTs and the high school superintendent stakeholders review and sign off on the signature page. So we're ready to do that very soon. These are the different priorities of the chancellor. With the multi-tiered systems of support. And you'll see at the center is that family and community engagement. So our priorities are on the right-hand side, and these priorities have changed and shifted from the very beginning of the year until where we are now. I'm not going to read them because I do want to go to the next slide, which shows the feedback piece. So shared feedback on the DCEP. This is coming from Central as well as other stakeholders. For priority 1, where it says all students will read well, part of our feedback was that we need to add additional goals that would be inclusive for all students. That would include MLLs, which is the multilingual learners. For priority 2, all students physically and emotionally safe. The feedback is we're currently working on identifying measurements that clarify the perception survey of goal number 1. For priority number 3, high quality academic experience, there was no feedback provided. For priority 4, college and career readiness, we have added additional goals that would be inclusive for all students, including our SWD students, that's students with disabilities. And priority 5, responsiveness to parents and families. Again, we've added improved language access and increased family engagement. And as you heard Dr. H say earlier, part of what the state and the city is looking for is that we're being able to translate these documents into multiple languages. So these are all pieces that we're currently working on. This particular slide shows how some of the goals have changed over time. And I will just kind of read priority 5 as a sample for you. So we inform parents of the CTE programs. In addition to the new opportunities for Queens North on our website, we also included a focus group for the Future Ready Conference, the Career Readiness and Youth Apprenticeships program. We informed schools and parents of transition services, future planning activities, career development activities offered by the TCAC. And they presented to families during a Tuesday office hours for parents of students with IEPs, and they disseminated the event to schools and shared with families. So one thing that I can say at Queens North is that it really is a family environment, and all of this work is not done in isolation. It is done in a collaborative team approach. So multiple members of our team have multiple hands in this process. And that concludes the report for high schools. Are there any questions? Comments?
Well, one comment from me, Bill,
Yeah.
is I want to thank you for your excellent support. This PowerPoint and all of the PowerPoints that you and the Queens High School team have done for the various districts since September will be very important documentation for this state monitoring process. And so you and I met, you'll send me all of them. And I also want to say that I never told Superintendent 2 or Superintendent's team to prepare PowerPoints. I just asked them to participate. They decided to do that excellent work on their own, as the district team did with their PowerPoints and their documentation, etc. So see that important initiative, that excellent work now will help us in giving the state more than documentation than probably any other borough in the city for all of this collaboration and the process. So kudos to, please, give my compliments to your superintendent and your colleagues in the team, that their work will shine in this whole process. And I thank you.
Thank you, Gus.
I'd like to co-sign with that because I just finished telling Queen South, come on, in your presentations, because they do presentations, please include the DCEP and the data and the goals and the feedback. That makes it, that will lessen our meetings that we have to, consult with if you do that for other observers for the rest of the team so they know. But yes, it's a wonderful. And it was like, oh, okay, yeah. And I said, they engage the students too. You need to add the students too as well. So yeah, so yes, Queens North is definitely a model to follow. And they're going to take my advice to follow what y'all do. Thank you.
And Shirley, share that mural of yours with everybody. It's a wonderful mural and a great social studies resource.
It is.
I told you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And I do want to say, Bill, thank you, and please let superintendent to know that she, it really helped us build our expectations. But Shirley, I want to thank you too. You have high expectations for us, and a lot of what you see here is because of those. So we appreciate these expectations because it brought us together in a time of transition. So I just want you to know that we appreciate you too. So, okay. So I did not know if there were any other constituents that had any feedback or any reports. So Joe, for CEC, did you have? Okay, Lamar, I'll get you next.
And that's another reason why I really appreciate Shirley, right? Because Shirley reminded me that the application period to run for CEC was extended through February 23rd. So if anyone is interested in running for the CEC, I encourage you to go onto your Nixer account and submit your application by February 23rd. I know that we have, and maybe Francis could fill in, there's a forum where the candidates can present themselves to the community, run by President's Council. So we look forward to any applications that come in.
Francis, so it's on the 20th?
Get my book. I think
is it your March President's Council meeting?
Yes, is that March?
Yeah, so then it's the 20th.
Okay, that's fine.
Perfect. Francis, I didn't know if you had a President's Council
update.
Yep.
Right now tonight we have, I told you the 7 o'clock comes the CEC consultant. They come in to do a presentation. I don't know how long their presentation is. So as soon as we start the meeting, you want to do how long is you're going to call me or you?
Yeah, I'll call you. We'll make it as long as short as you want it because it is pretty lengthy. So we'll go through it together and you can pick and choose. And then we can say, the larger one will be at the next CEC meeting, which will also be the Fair Student Funding presentation. So, we'll call you right after this if you're good with that.
Oh, Shirley said it's 15 minutes. Okay. So if they start at 7, then by 7:30 we could start again. But then we have nothing from 6:30 to 7.
All right, so we could do ours thing from 6:30 to 7 then.
All right, so as soon as I get on, I'm just gonna pass it over to you, which would be good because I'll be traveling anyway.
Yeah, all right, that's fine, and we'll be done by 7.
All right.
Okay, perfect. But I also want to talk to you about another thing I wanted to address with the council. So I'll call you, okay?
Okay, yes.
Okay. All right, thanks. Lamar?
Yes, good morning, everybody. Hope you're all well.
Good morning.
So I wanted to keep you all abreast of what's happening in our UFT land and how it relates to education and such, and just what's going on to keep an eye out for. So right now we're continuing our back and forth tug of war with the governor's office with Albany with regards to the state budget and the piece where they're allowing for more charter school space within the city and the state as a whole. So I think if the numbers are right, the state allows for somewhere in the number of 476 charter schools, something to that effect. That's what the cap is. We're not there, but according to the governor's new budget, they're trying to create space to raise the charter cap. And for a litany of reasons, we're standing against that. If you recall, just as recently as a month or so ago, there was a back and forth between charters coming into districts 28 and 29, not ours, not 25, but 28 and 29. And Eva Moskowitz from Success Schools backed off on that because of the backlash that was given to her and to her academy. Well, now the fight is moving away from 28 and 29, and it's going into 24 and 30. Again, not 25, but if you just follow the math and follow the path, I think this is something that we really need to keep an eye on somewhere down the line, somewhere in the future. Okay. With regards to 24 and 30, there was a parent forum held last week that parents in the community knew nothing of. So no SLT families knew about it. No one from CECs in those districts knew about it, but somehow there was a parent forum to gauge feedback on whether or not to go forward with extending charters. So we're keeping an eye on that. And we're looking for constituents from the different districts across the borough, parents, staff members, CECs, et cetera. We're revving up the fight again. Albany Lobby Day is coming up on March 13th, and that's going to be a topic of interest to bring forth to our state assembly and our state senator's office. For the record, it seems like we have the support of the Senate, the state Senate. The assembly is, it teeters. We don't know exactly where they stand on that. So I say it, one, to just let everyone know what's happening in that regards, but also to, again, this has nothing to do directly with District 25, which is a good thing. But where, if folks know how charter schools operates, where there's space, they start smelling and they start coming and they start sniffing and they start digging. This is where being bursting at the seams is a good thing. So, we're okay in that regards, but we're looking around, we're keeping an eye out for how this operates in the district. So I wanted to keep everyone's eye on that. Resolutions and supportive resolutions may be coming soon. So we'll have parent conversations and CEC conversations. Hi, Joe, with regards to that. And if there's anyone interested in supporting our endeavor going forward, you can send me an email or reach out to me privately and we'll talk further.
Okay.
Yes, sir, Joe.
So I just wanted to add to what you're stating, Lamar. We have our first public engagement meeting at CA next month regarding a new school site on at 137-31 45th Avenue in Flushing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're looking to put a primary school there of 696 seats. I know that the CEC has always been in support of more schools in our district because we need them, and we're looking for state-of-the-art schools. So it's always a positive thing to have a new school come in, but it's something that we really should put on our radar, the possibility of a charter school being placed into one of these new locations. I've had some conversations. I'm told that Mulgrew may want to do a special meeting with our CEC regarding that, but we haven't set a date yet.
Okay. What's the address you said? 137-31?
So is 137-31 45th Avenue in Flushing.
Yep. Okay. Okay.
And our first public meeting will be the public engagement meeting will be conducted by SCA at our CEC meeting on March 1st, and then they go to the community board.
Yeah, it's in between PS 24 and 237.
237. Yeah, I'm envisioning. Yeah, I get that.
And Holden, if I remember, right, Danielle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right, that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Lamar?
I just wanted to say that also we discussed this at CPAC last week Thursday. We had Senator Lou, who's leading the charge with Senator Jackson in opposing that part of the raising the cap. And CPAC also had passed a resolution, or they're going to. They've passed another resolution about public hearing, but they're going to pass a resolution on that or as well regarding raising the cap, because they tied it with the budget. So they all know it's like a bargaining thing. They probably, you know, because if you don't budget, they had tied it to other things that it shouldn't be tied to. So, but anyway, yeah, so that the conversations are starting and we expect more of a fight. And I would just want to say that Eva Moskowitz already said she can't get 72 campus, but she is coming back to 28. She does have eyes throughout the borough because they want to expand, and lifting up this cap will really help her to, you know, put more charters, you know, in the school system, in schools. But we need to change the law about co-locations and in New York City paying rent for charter schools, partial rent. That's what we really need to do. So we won't have to continue to have that fight. I just wanted to add that we need to change that law.
Yeah. And let me just say too, and then I'll wrap up. It's not the idea that we are fully against charter schools. I want to make that point clear. The idea is the co-locations. That's a problem, right? Because why would we want to take up space in an already existing school with already still students who are already there? That's the first problem. If you go back in history, our union was in favor of creating charter schools. We had a charter school in Brooklyn. So the idea is not to say we're against charters and do away with them. That's not the concern. The concern is co-location. And then to Shirley's point, the concern is also about rent. You're not paying for that space, and how your funds are allocated and distributed is not disclosed to the public. So all of our schools can be, you know, you can go online, and our consultation committees have access to budgets, and, you know, SLT has access to budgets. That doesn't exist in charter schools. So where's the money going? So those are the points that we're really honing in on. And that's why we're against it. It's not about charters. It's about how the space is utilized and how the money is spent or not spent, and where the money goes as they receive private funds. So I just wanted to put that out.
Okay. Thank you, Lamar.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Okay. Teresa, I didn't know if you had any CSA updates.
We are good right now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, thank you to all for being here. I look forward to the communication and the rollout of, you know, the work that we are doing around our mid-year assessments and how we're going to support our learners and how we're going to communicate that to families and make that public. So to be continued, we're looking forward to tonight with Francis and then the CEC with Joe as well. So if there are no other agenda items, I would like to have consensus to adjourn. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you, Joe. Yes, here we go. All right. Just so everyone knows, our next meeting is March 13th. Okay. 9:00 virtual. Looking forward to seeing all of you then. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Enjoy
Have a great day, everyone.
Enjoy Valentine's Day.
Bye, everybody.
Enjoy the break.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's, everyone.
Have
good
Valentine's
day.
Day, everyone.